Hello, everyone. My name is Karina Collis. I'm the CEO of Dialllog and your host for today. Today, we are talking about the future of deal making, Dialllog's breakthrough in integrated CRM solutions. This is a 30 minutes webinar that will be finished with Q&A. So please post your questions in the chat, in the Q&A chat. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Peter Globerkar, Senior Investment Banker, co-founder and chairman of Dialllog.
Hi everyone. Thank you very much, Karina, and thanks everyone for joining today's call. Sorry for the little delay here. I was stuck in a traffic jam, not unusual for Paris, where I'm calling in from today. But glad I made it. And yes, indeed, we have the next 25-30 minutes to spend together. And perhaps the best thing is for me to share a presentation just to cover today's topic. So let me just make sure that I share my screen here. Just one second. And Karina, please tell me if you see my screen. Yeah. Okay. Good. Very well. So I hope you can all hear me here. So today we are going to talk about the future of M&A deal making, and more specifically from the point of view of the tech stack and the operating system or the CRM that bankers need to do what they're best at doing, which is doing deals. Before we start, a quick introduction. Myself, Peter Globerkar. 26 years of M&A and investment banking experience, been focused on cross-border technology M&A for the last 26 years or so. Worked with companies like Broadview Nomura, co-founded my own business called Moreland Partners, which I successfully sold to Stifel, a US investment bank, where I'm still a senior advisor. I'm also the co-founder of Dialllog and have been helping the team to grow over the last year, 2 years. In fact, we started in 2020, and we're very successfully building a business notably in investment banking. What I wanted to cover today is the M&A environment, what the environment means today, what does it mean for M&A advisory teams also going forward. I want to dive into the deal makers tech stack and what this tech stack looks like. I want to talk about what's been the CRM dilemma for a long time in the industry and how we're going to solve this. And finally, tell you a bit more about how we, at Dialllog in particular, think we can solve the tech stack and the CRM dilemma that the industry has had over the last few years. So let's talk about the deal-making environment first of all. So I think if you are in M&A today, you are asking yourselves a lot of questions, and what you're really seeing over the last 2-3 quarters.
We have just lost Peter, some connection problems, so stay with us. Peter is coming back. We will take a minute of a break while Peter is restarting his computer. Peter, are you back to us?
Here, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry for that.
You can reshare your screen, and we can start from the beginning of the slide.
Okay, sorry for this. Indeed, some connectivity issues here, which I'm trying to solve. But indeed, so you can still hear me okay, right? Please confirm.
All good.
Okay. So I was saying, look, the environment is definitely challenging for M&A bankers today worldwide. We are dealing with, first of all, the end of what I call the post-COVID party. So 21, 22, 2 years of deal making where the volumes were exceptional and the valuations were exceptional. The risk appetite and the valuations now are down quite substantially, and continued macro uncertainty actually is really putting a lot of pressure on the market. So the volumes overall are low, the values are also low, and indeed we will not see anything better for the next few quarters. But in the long term, I firmly believe that M&A volumes will go up and will go on the increase, notably because there is a huge amount of dry powder available, both as strategics and at private equity funds, and because M&A is the key strategy for private equity funds and the key tool for growth for strategics, right? Where are we today in terms of deal making itself? So I think deal makers in general have been very individualistic since this profession really has started. And the intermediary role is a very selfish and very lonely role for most parts. But the point is that the competition for deals among advisors continues to increase. People are differentiating, notably with sector specialization. So you will have investment banks focusing on very, very small niche sectors and thriving this way. This is definitely a way to do this, but it's not going to be enough. And so collaboration is going to be one of the key drivers for an industry that has been focused on kind of lone hunting, if you want, for lack of a better word. And therefore, to collaborate, the industry needs to adopt modern tools to improve and actually really dive into collaboration and teamwork. And of course, work on the overall productivity. We're still a pen and paper industry, much more so than many other industries. And there is a lot of automation that needs to happen. In that context, actually, think about it. When I started 25 years ago, and I don't want to sound like an old uncle, but the truth is that we started in the kingdom of Excel and PowerPoint, and not much has changed really. Of course, the addition of valuation and deal databases with metrics that allow people to value companies certainly have made their entry. CRMs were in some very, very forward-looking banks already used, 25 years ago. But most advisory businesses today are still pen and paper businesses. They run their sourcing and they run their deals using Excel and using spreadsheets to understand who spoke to whom and what the stage is at what the deal is. And this is all in emails and in Excel as opposed to anywhere else. So whilst people are moving to generic CRM slowly, we see a real need for people to move directly to deal-making platforms. And that's exactly where we're seeing a lot of demand today. So something that is much more comprehensive than just a CRM where you manage your contacts. And all of this, of course, in a context of a need for more compliance, more confidentiality, more privacy, and also security. I think what we're very clearly seeing in the market today is a heightened need for security and also a lot of compliance that is required because of the regulatory environment, which has not stopped to become more stringent over the last 25 years. So whether it's insider lists and permissions and other things within systems, this today has a much bigger meaning and importance than it ever had before. And so that is the environment we're working in. So when we think about CRMs, I think what we're really thinking about is essentially something that people don't like, right? People don't like CRMs, and we've had this issue across multiple industries, but also in investment banking. What is really the appetite of people to use a CRM in a context where mostly people have felt that CRMs are either a tool that is too specific and too complicated to adopt, or is a tool that people are forced to enter information into and are not really getting much out of it. It is a CRM tool that people feel is a bit intrusive, in particular when it comes to sharing their own deal flow and their own relationships. So overall, there's been still a blockage that we've seen that is diminishing very fast with usage of CRMs. But most importantly, and this is what we've also seen in surveys that we've done in Dialllog with our prospects and our customers, the key thing that comes across is the complexity of CRMs, and it's actually the ability to collaborate, which is not that a given in most CRMs, although people would like to share more information than they actually can. So what does a deal-making platform look like, right? As a deal maker, what I really want to get to today, and this is really more of a vision of a personal assistant, if you want, and also the idea behind Dialllog. What I'm really looking for is something that will change my productivity. So historically, I've been using my Excel, I've been using my email, I've been sending emails out, tracking those in Excel with my team supporting me, telling me every week where we stand, who we need to reach out to, and what people have received, not received, and what is the status of a single process. And when you multiply this by many deals, it's a lot of spreadsheets that are actually not very transparent and that are not helpful, bottom line. So as I think about, how can I change the productivity of my team? How can I really transform how we work, and how can I make the processing part of M&A more productive, but not only of M&A, but also of sourcing? I'm thinking of a platform that, first of all, manages not only all my contacts, but also all my conversations, all my processes, and all my deals in one place. And what we found in the industry, that a lot of people use CRMs for their deal sourcing, and then anything that relates to transaction execution starts to be run in Excel sheets, and that's a major dysfunction and a major productivity issue. These relationships that you're managing and these conversations should really be covering all of aspects of your work, whether it's generic relationship management, for example, relationships with private equity funds, with venture funds, etc. Also managing all of your sourcing, so specifically running your own funnel of transaction opportunities and in client engagement opportunities, as well as all of the transaction execution, meaning all of the process management from marketing, preparation, first of all, through to marketing, and then through final stages of a transaction, including due diligence. All of this should really be in one platform. And the reason for this is because we keep on talking to the same people in our industry, especially the more we specialize by sectors, which is really where the industry is going. You're really dealing with the same group of experts, and you're dealing with the same group of specialists across all of these, investors, corporates, advisors, etc. And it's really a question of understanding where these relationships are going, who is providing you with productive relationships, how you can enhance relationships, and how you're progressing your conversations. So having everything in one place is very important, and we're only at the start of that in the industry. The other thing you want to do is you want to be able to share with your team, and you want to be able to collaborate. So you want to be able to distribute tasks, you want to be able to receive tasks to do, you want to be able to share information with other people so that they see what you're doing and you see what they're doing in relation in particular to contacts, right? The worst thing that can happen to a banker is that he contacts an investor or a buyer of a company, not knowing that his colleague across the floor or in another office has been actually talking to the same buyer about another situation, which might even potentially be a conflict of some sort. So dealing with this is fundamental. You want to also have easy access to relevant information about companies, about deals. So information about third-party data. Who is this investor you're talking to? Who is this strategic you're talking to? What have you done with them before? What kind of investments they have made? What are they interested in? Who is working there? Who is connected to them that you might be able to leverage to get to the right person, etc. All of this is very relevant. And today, we're all using multiple tools to get to that information. And the more you can integrate in one platform, the faster it goes as well. You also want to have simple reporting and analytics, meaning that you want to be talking to your clients every week with a status report that is easy to produce, that is really at the touch of a button as opposed to hours of spreadsheet preparations and formatting. But you also want to have access to the system for your own analytics and for your own reporting internally in terms of where you are, what are the deals you're working on, what are the prospects you're tracking, and you want to be able to manage and steer your business with these analytics as well. You also want to have integrated communications. So, dealing with emails outside of your CRM and in a completely different environment is not very productive, because ultimately you keep on jumping from one application to the other. All the intelligence sits in the CRM, yet when you want to send an email to someone, you have to go to an email client, which is not related. And so again, that flow of information and activity is not very productive. And then finally, the thing that comes back every single time is the simplicity of use, right? You want to have a system that is as intuitive as your email inbox or as as your messaging, etc. You don't want to have to learn a very complicated system with lots of fields and lots of screens and lots of buttons with lots of new terminology, because it's just something that people don't have the time to learn. And the result of this, by the way, is that most firms today that use complicated systems, that have tried to bend complicated systems like Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce for their own use, you see that only junior people really are using the system, that senior people just don't have the energy and the time to learn about them, right? The vision of a system like this is really trying to have as little input as possible into a CRM, so not entering endless notes and endless contacts and new companies, etc., manually. And what you want is get as much of insight out of the system as possible, meaning that you want to have this 360 view and all the information about a particular contact you're talking to or a particular company you're talking to at the touch of a button, right? So minimize the input, maximize the output, and making sure that across the board, the information is shareable in the best possible way within, of course, the compliance rules that you set for yourself. So this is really where this vision of a deal-making platform has to go and is going, right? In that context, we've tried to move the needle with Dialllog, and I think we're on our good way here to achieve this. This is how we segment the market and our positioning along two very simple dimensions. One is the simplicity of use of the system itself, and the other dimension is, of course, the general versus the purpose-built aspect of the platform. So today in the market, you have generic tools which people use across the industry. There are more generic sales tools. So really there as selling tools that people have been using mostly to sell products and services, but certainly not for driving complex relationship projects such as M&A or fundraising. And in that context, you have a lot of generalist platforms, and the heavier ones, Microsoft Dynamics and Salesforce in particular, that are bent to be adapted to the workflows of investment banking, but at a huge cost, and not always with great success. They're also very difficult user interfaces to use once you bend them, right? So we're seeing in the market we talk to and the customers we talk to, people really trying to find solutions that are more specific for investment banking, that would be as simple to use, let's say, as HubSpot and PipeDrive and Monday.com and ClickUp, etc., and all of these new generation productivity apps that are generalist apps. They would like to see apps like these, but for an environment which is much more specialized. And what we find is that today in M&A and investment banking, there are only really complicated apps to use, and therefore the usage of CRM is still low compared to what it should be. And we believe that with Dialllog, we are starting to change the game here. Before I move to back to this slide, before I move to the next few slides, I just wanted to make sure that I knew if there were any particular questions. And so let me just pause for a minute here and see if there are any particular questions. Karina?
At the moment, we don't have any questions, so we can move forward.
Okay, great, very well. The way we look at a CRM or at the platform for deal making today is very simple. We have found by talking to players in the market that the difficulty of finding information, and in particular relevant information, in existing CRMs that are purpose-built is actually quite high. And a lot of people have, and this is why I put the image of a labyrinth here, because this is sometimes how it feels. You never know whether the information you're looking at is all you have on a company or not. So people eventually do not get out of the system what they're looking for. We, on the other hand, are approaching the whole aspect of information really from again 360 view, a place where you can see all of your contacts and companies, all of your interactions with the people you're having, whether it's via email or otherwise, all of the key files that relate to your projects, all of the milestones that you're reaching for each project, the tasks and the teams that are working on these tasks, all the reports that you need to generate for yourself and for others, and in particular, and most importantly, all of the workflows, all the projects you're working on. If you are able to work with a platform like this, then in practice, your productivity starts to really improve, and you can start to focus your time, of which there is very little, on much more value-added activities, in particular, such as reaching out and maintaining your network. As we look at Dialllog today, we manage all of your ecosystem of relationships, clients, former clients, advisors, sponsors, corporates, buyers, etc., and of course, all of your prospects and people who are also influencing and representing your business in the market. We allow you to manage all of your workflows in one place, starting with relationship building and sourcing, going through M&A execution on all of your mandates, whether it's actually M&A or fundraising. You can also run due diligence within the platform, and then finally manage also your clients and the complexity of stakeholder management. When you have a client, you're not only talking to a CEO, you're talking to board members, you're talking to shareholders, you're talking to advisors, and all of these nuances in communications and communication flows should really be captured in your system so that you can make the right decisions at the right time. When you look at the functionalities we offer, the way we are allowing people to really leverage all of these connections, conversations within the workflows they're managing, we provide, first of all, integrated email, which allows you to communicate directly out of your CRM at the touch of a button with all of the people that are involved in a particular process. We're pre-populating information from third-party data sources, which allow you to get basically financial information and other data about companies directly into the CRM. We allow you to store files in the CRM as well, create status report, and automate a lot of the workflows. What does this mean in practice? Of course, and you can see actually a rather old model of an iPhone in here, or probably a slightly older model of an iPhone in here, but just to tell you that, of course, Dialllog is a mobile first and a mobile enabled CRM for people who are on the go and who need information on the go and who want to dictate a meeting note directly into their phone after a meeting. All of this we are enabling. And as you look at Dialllog today, we most importantly are built and tailored for industries that and for the investment banking industry that in particular is looking for very strict settings on permissions and visibility of projects. We're dealing in an industry that requires a lot of confidentiality, yet if you start to manage your business on a need-to-know basis, people cannot collaborate. And so finding the right balance between confidentiality and collaboration is something that a platform should enable. And we've built in this from the start. So we're able to configure, and you're able to configure the system based on that particular requirement to be compliant, to be confidential, but also to be able to collaborate. We automate this, the projects as much as we can for the moment. We are starting to look at the use of AI within Dialllog as well. We're very cautious here because whilst AI is making very rapid progress, if you are users, for example, of meeting note summaries and ChatGPT text generators, etc., you will find, of course, that there are mistakes in there, and there are inventions in there as well, and those are potentially lethal for a tool such as a CRM when you need absolutely 100% precision in your communications. So as we're starting to integrate technologies around ChatGPT and similar platforms, we're very cognizant of the fact that we cannot, for the moment, allow our customers to rely on those technologies solely. But it's definitely part of our roadmap, as you can imagine. It is definitely something that will accelerate even more the productivity of advisory firms across the board. We are today already, of course, open for integration with third-party applications. We notably, as I mentioned earlier, integrate email. We integrate Dealroom, which is a source of data, probably the best source of data as far as we're concerned for corporate information. We offer open APIs to customers who wish to integrate the system with further data sources. And we're obviously integrating additional data sources as we go. The idea being that as you work with Dialllog, you come to the office in the morning, you connect with Dialllog, and you start working within Dialllog. And when you leave the office in the evening, or when you are on the go, you do the same. And so your universe becomes much more a universe of dialogue on a daily basis. This is your universe of work, as much as perhaps today you spend a lot of time in your email client, for example.
Peter, we have a very interesting question. If I may repeat it out loud, investment bankers don't usually like sharing information in this industry. They're usually very hardcore salespeople. How are you proposing a CRM that focuses on sharing information with each other?
Yeah. So I think that, and this has always been the big dilemma. I completely agree, and I've seen different behaviors in different places. So my experience of investment banking is that when you have a collaborative environment, and it's much more of a cultural thing than a trend, if you want. But when you have a collaborative environment, when you have a partnership style environment, you tend to share. And when you share, of course, we are all strong individuals who have our own book of business to drive. But you actually find that turning up to a meeting with a partner or asking a partner to help you in a situation, if he steals the information from you, he's not going to be your partner for very long, right? And so this primal fear that is, okay, if I share my information, someone will actually take a deal from me or will take my prospect from me. This is something that doesn't materialize. And I think is this primal fear of protection that says, okay, I need to protect my own pipeline here. I found that it's a DNA aspect that people are changing in firms more and more. I won't give any names, but there are very large banks that are very forceful in implementing CRMs. Look, Goldman Sachs, it's a big name, and it's perhaps more publicly noted. Goldman Sachs has its own CRM, has had its own CRM for years, and it's an extremely collaborative environment. This is how you strive as a partner. So I think it's more of a partnership culture issue than anything else. When you are a Wall Street broker, yes, there is no collaboration, but I think that M&A banking is much more about partnership than about hardcore deal making as an individual.
Thank you very much, Peter. We are running out of time, so last sentence to wrap up.
Last sentence to wrap up. Come and test Dialllog. You should reach out to me, to Karina, to others at the firm to understand how we're putting into execution and into practice what we preach, which is collaborative platforms for deal making, because we believe that it fundamentally changes how productive people and bankers are. So come and join us and reach out.
Thanks again, and thank you everyone for joining us today.